Can you believe it? The deer season has come and it's almost gone. It seems like just not too long ago we were scouting and prepping, waiting for the rut, and now we're already looking forward to the next season. Man, I love deer hunting and I love being outdoors, but I also love spending time with my family and my kids. My two younger kids are just right now at the age where I value the moments and the memories that I make with them every day. So between the family, all the fall festivities, small game hunting, waterfowl hunting, and everything else in between, my time that I spend deer hunting is quite limited. I don't have the luxury of spending every single weekend or every day that I have off of work on the stand, so I have to make the most out of the times when I do get out there. I've been blessed to have harvested a couple bucks without spending a whole lot of time hunting, and you can call it luck or whatever, but I've had a few people ask me how I'm successful hunting public land. Now, the bucks that we've harvested, they aren't the biggest bucks out there. They won't make Boone and Crockett, but I think that just being successful on public land is a trophy all in itself. So I just wanted to share a few tips and stories of some of the things that I've done in the past that's helped me harvest some of my bucks. And I think that if you do these things together, will help you become successful as well. The first thing is pretty obvious. You have to scout. I'm not gonna lie, I do 90% of my scouting on my computer or on my phone. See, when I first started deer hunting back in the late 90s, we didn't have Google Earth, or if there was, I didn't have access to it. So back then, the only way to get to know an area was to walk every single acre of it. So if I was scouting a new piece of public land, I had no idea that if I would just walk 400 yards to the north, there would be an ag field, or if I go to the west, there would be a swamp or a clear cut or some water. I would have to walk the whole area just to find these things. But nowadays with Google Earth or whatever app that you use, everything is so detailed that you can do most of your scouting on your phone, saving you a ton of time, and you can bypass many areas. Ultimately though, nothing beats putting boots on the ground. Once you've found some potential stand sites, you have to be there physically to check it out. That's the only way to get to know an area and to physically look for deer sign and to narrow down exactly where you are going to hunt. I'll be honest, I've done it in the past where I've gone in blind to a spot that I scouted on a map, and most times it didn't work out well for me. So even if it's just one time, get out there and scout your area. Another thing that has helped me tremendously are trail cameras. See, back then I couldn't afford a camera, and so I had to rely on the physical sign that was left by the deer. But nowadays you can buy a cheap camera for 30 to 50 bucks, and even if you have just one, they will provide you with valuable information that can make or break a hunt, especially on public land. The second thing is you have to understand that the rut happens at the same time every year. Here in Minnesota and the northern states, the pre-rut starts during the last week of October, and then the primary rut occurs during the first 2 weeks of November. Now, the activity level that you will see will vary from day to day, depending on the deer herd and weather and many different factors, but the deer will have to breed within that window of time because of nature. And so if you are limited on vacation days or not sure when is the best time to start hunting hard, my suggestion is to save your vacation days and start hunting around Halloween through the second week of November. I think that this period will give you the highest percentage of shooting a deer, especially a buck. Number 2 rolls right into number 3, which is hunt major cold fronts. Even during late October, if the weather has been on a steady pattern, say 4 to 5 days of 40 to 50 degree temps, take that time and spend it with the family. Do some yard work, make some of those memories that I talked about with the family. I would rather hunt 1 or 2 sits during a cold front than have 4 to 5 sits on a steady weather pattern. See, on years where you have a warm October, you always hear about the October lull, and I think that weather has a lot to do with that. So I think that your chances are higher if you wait for a day where there is a sudden 10 to 15 degree drop in temperature, a major cold front that comes through. See, this year, for an example, during mid-October, we had a major cold front that came through that brought snow and unusually cold temperatures. And if you followed social media and YouTube, you know that many bucks nationwide hit the ground that week. This is a buck that I shot during a cold front in late October with my bow in 2017. The temperature was dropping 20 degrees from the day before, from 40 degrees to 20. So my son and I went out really early. We got set up in the dark, and at about 8:30, this guy came by and gave me a 30-yard shot. This is a buck that was also shot on a cold front. This one was shot around the second week of November during the gun season in 2014, I believe. Again, there was no snow during the opening weekend. It was kind of slow. And then by midweek, a cold front had come through, bringing snow and dropping temperatures. So my friend and I got out really early. I got set up in a bedding area, and about late morning, about 10:30 or so, this guy got up with a bedded doe, and I shot it at about 80 yards. Number 3 again rolls right into number 4, which is get there early. Whether you're hunting morning or evening, get to your area early enough. I believe that both of the bucks that I just showed earlier were also shot because I was the first one in my stand already set up when other hunters were just beginning to walk into the woods. I believe that those hunters coming in late pushed the deer towards me. I'm usually that guy that is first in the parking lot. So what that does for me is it allows me to take my time to get my things ready, and then when I'm walking to my stand, I can go really slow. I can slowly walk 5-10 yards at a time, stop, and quietly sneak into my area with little noise. It also helps me not to get sweaty, because not only is it miserable when you're soaked and cold, to me, it's just more scent that you're giving off, and that's also not a good thing. And the last tip is to figure out where the likely pressure will be coming from. You have to get to know where all the public parking lots are in the area that you will be hunting, because the majority of the hunters will be coming from those places. So let's take a look at this property for an example. Let's just say that this area here is public and the parking lot is here where the P is. So the obvious pressure will be coming from this direction, therefore pushing the deer back into the timber. So on a morning hunt, just like opening morning, if I were hunting this area, I would go down here and find a parking spot around where the X is. I would throw on my waders and I would cross this creek and then hunt on the backside. Most people don't want to go through all this work, so they'll take the easy way out. But if you can get across this creek and get set up early enough, the pressure from on top will push the deer towards you eventually. And that's what happened with this buck here. This one was shot by my son this year during the gun season in the morning, and we did exactly that. We crossed the creek, we got there early, we got set up, and we let the pressure work the deer in our direction. We knew that there was a public parking lot up on top of the hill there, and so the pressure was going to be coming from that direction. So we were set up in the valley, and sure enough at daybreak, as other hunters were walking into the woods, they started pushing the deer down, and at about 7:30 in the morning, this guy came by and gave my son a 20-yard shot. This is another buck that my son shot in the morning during the gun season in 2016, I believe. And again, he was the furthest away from a public parking lot. He got there early and he got set up, letting other hunters push the deer to him. This guy came by at about 8 in the morning, giving him a 15-yard shot. So these are very simple, basic tips. But if you can put all these things together during a hunt, I believe that it will increase your chances of harvesting a buck on public land. It's worked for us. In the past 6 years of hunting this area, we shot 4 bucks, not including passing up smaller bucks and does. So if you're like me and you're limited to just a handful of days each fall to hunt deer, I hope that these tips will help you become successful as well. Hey, I hope you guys find this video helpful. Give it a like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos.